Hey everybody, this is Chad. I'm a little far away from my camera right now, so I'm speaking up a bit. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. And the reason I'm far away is because that just happens to be where the cherry shrimp, or some of them, are hanging out in the new little planted tank. Last week I talked about the cherry shrimp and getting them from eBay. It's my first livestock purchase from the internet, and it was pretty successful and exciting. Now, one of the good reasons also I want to show you the particular shrimp right here, down just a little bit, is because it's a mix of males and females hanging out together. You can tell the difference. The female cherry shrimp are larger and have a brighter red color. They also have a larger tail, and the reason for that is they carry their eggs underneath the tail. Cherry shrimp are fascinating because they are one of the type of freshwater shrimp that you can easily breed in the home aquarium. One of the reasons for this is that when the eggs hatch, they don't come out in a larval form. A lot of shrimp, they lay eggs and the eggs come out as larvae, which need to go through several life cycle changes and metamorphoses in order to become eventually something that resembles the adult shrimp. The offspring of these cherry shrimp will come out looking like tiny, tiny, beautiful versions of the adults. And the great thing about that means that they're ready to go about their business. It's kind of like you see the giraffe that's born on the savannah, plops right out of the mother, stands up and takes off. Well, that's exactly what happens with these little guys. The babies hatch, they take off, they go about their algae eating business. So I think that's one of the nice things about them. They really are easy to breed. So I started out with 20. Guarantee you I'll end up with a lot more. There are some predator fish in this tank. The scarlet baddies that I have do eat the baby shrimp, so the population won't get outrageous because the baddies will have a delicious meal every now and then on them. However, there's enough shrimp in there, and only 2 of the Darios, which are the scarlet baddies. We'll do a separate video on those fish and on the chili rasboras, which are the fish that hang out in the tank. But so you will have to watch out for predation, and not just on the fry, but on the adults with some fish. Now, the adults are in absolutely no danger in this tank because the baddies that you see swimming around right now that's a full-size fish. So he's the shrimp are about the same size as he is. There's no way that he could eat a full-sized one. But you do have to be careful with some fish. I remember several years ago, probably 7 years ago now, when I first started keeping the cherry shrimp, I had some gold barbs. And when I first had the gold barbs, they weren't big, and the female ended up growing quite large. And one day I was watching her, just enjoying my tank, and she went over and she swallowed one of my cherry shrimp whole. I was really upset. At that time, cherry shrimp were like pretty expensive, and it was pretty much a lobster dinner for her. So I learned my lesson from that. So just be careful if you decide to keep these shrimp, to only keep them with things that won't eat them, and that's fine. Now, as far as food, there are several things that you can do. One, they are grazers. They will eat algae off of your rocks, and if it grows on the leaves of your plants or whatever else, they'll munch on that, and that's great. If you feed any fish algae-based food, they will eat that algae-based food as well. So that's good. What I like to do, though, is to feed them a specifically designed scavenger kind of shrimp food. So I have Rapashi's superfood for, it's called shrimp souffle, which is basically a gel. It's actually fish food that you cook. So you take the powder and you mix it in with water and you cook it. And you pour it out, it gels up, you cut it into whatever size of cube or shape that you desire and put it in your tank. It can be frozen or kept fresh. Depending on how you want to do it. If you keep it in the fridge, it'll last for a couple of weeks. If you keep it in the freezer, it'll last for half a year before you really need to mix it again. So I like to use that as a supplement, and then I'll also feed the algae-based foods and things like that. As far as filtration goes, obviously you don't want high filtration because it can suck up the little baby shrimps as they come out and kill them. So depending on how you want to do it, you can have a sponge filter, which works very well for them. If I had a tank that had nothing but the shrimp in it, I would use that. Or as I have in this case, it's a rather low flow filter that I have on here that pumps it through. You can, in a tank like this that's heavily planted, you really don't have to worry about it quite as much because the shrimp will be able to hide up in the canopy. And I'll show you what I mean by canopy. Right there. The plants have grown up and formed a canopy over the tank. It's just this dense, and I've got the plants are growing over, and then the duckweed is growing on it. And fry of any kind just love to hang out in that mess. So that's a great way to keep your beautiful cherry shrimp from getting munched on. So anyway, I decided to share that with you. I think they're one of the easier shrimp to keep as far as concerns other than predation and making sure you give them a good diet. They can get out-competed, so you need to make sure that you feed them directly or have put the food in multiple places so that the fish can get theirs and the shrimp can get their food. And then the other thing is that they do require clean water. So you've got to make sure that you have good clean water, do your regular water changes. It's pretty easy to plant a tank like this because the plants absorb a lot of those excess nutrients. So those are really the concerns that you have, is predation, good food, and clean water. But a lot of times that's the way it is with all the livestock that we keep. So I feel pretty confident that with some care you'll be able to keep these guys, and I have to say they're totally worth keeping. I mean, they're absolutely beautiful. Great coloration, fun to watch. They breed in your tank. It's really just a win-win. So again, females are bigger and brighter, males are smaller and less colorful. So enjoy. If you get some cherry shrimp, take a video of your own and let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.